Kicking it with Gives a Minute on Kick. Indeed, Kicking it with Gives a Minute on Kick. Now here we are at Kick for the third time. This is my third stream on kick.com. And yesterday, or the day before, the last time we streamed here, we did read what we thought was the terms of use. We had a bunch of questions regarding these terms because they were particularly frightening, I gotta say. I submitted a ticket, much to my dismay that the ticket was the way to do it, and it turns out potentially we were reading the wrong terms. The reason this is interesting to note is that you had to agree to those terms before you signed up. So I didn't go searching for those terms anywhere. They just were there when you went to create an account. That's going to be weird. That's right. It's going to be weird. When I went to sign up onto kick.com, you had to agree. You had to scroll all the way down and hit OK or use or whatever it was and say yes. Once you went yes, then you went into the website to load everything up, set your account name and all that stuff. I took a screenshot or a copy and pasta of all of those terms, put them into a stickies note, and then we went through it one by one on last stream. And we had a whole bunch of questions. And so I did submit a ticket, and Papa Zaduki, I guess that's how you say it, Papa Zaduki, did respond to my ticket. And I thought I'd read out to you, first of all, the questions and their response. I can show it to you, by the way. It's not private or anything. Let me just make this larger. There we go over here. So make this larger so we can read it. So this is a pretty cool ticket tool system thing that they got on Discord. So here's your ticket. This is what I said. I said, hey guys, just read through your terms of use and had a few questions. Number one, the terms state we cannot download anything from the site. Does this include our own VODs? Because that was actually one of the things that it stipulated. And not, by the way, everything that I'm about to read here was in the terms. So think about how weird this is. It also says we cannot use the website in any of our creations of our own. So does this rule out a video on YouTube documenting the site as it stands right now? Yo, Doug in the house. Oh, Melbourne Doug. How you doing, man? Hey, Gibbs. How you going, buddy? Number three, the terms state we must log out after a stream, even as a viewer. Can you confirm this? Number four, the terms refer to a privacy policy quite a lot. However, the link to that is error 500. Number five, the contents standard link is also broken. Number six, no one can link to any part of the website other than the homepage. Huh? How can we promote our own stream channels? But ultimately, the two massive concerns I have are, number seven, we provide this website for use only by persons located in the United States, unquote. That rules out a lot of other users. And number eight, these terms of use permit you to use the website for your personal, non-commercial use only. Does this mean monetization is never coming to the site? I hope for some clarification on these points. Cheers. And Papa Zaduki, is that how you'd say that? Papa Zaduk, not E, it'd be two E's, wouldn't it? Papa Zaduk. Papa Zaduk says, hey Gives, I'm not sure where you viewing these at. Where you're viewing these at. I'm not sure where you're viewing these at. They might have just been placeholder agreements. Well, here's the thing, Papa Zaduk. You're forcing everybody to agree to this when you sign up on the platform. So these were the terms that were in place that we all had to say I agree to before we even got let in. So that's where I got them from. I didn't go searching for them anywhere else. That's exactly where they came from. Please view all the updated links here. And so there's their terms of service. So it's no longer a terms of use, it's a terms of service and the privacy policy. So, and then they closed the ticket. That's a bit of a shame. I didn't close the ticket, but either way, let's take a look at the actual terms. Oh, it opens up in the same tab. Let's take a look at the terms of service and the privacy policy. Okay, so I will read these through to you yahoos because it's important, and it's nowhere near as lengthy. It's still quite lengthy, but it's nowhere near the document that we just read. Okay, so let's do the right thing even though this got a bit of shade in the Discord that I did this, but let's do the right thing and let's read what we're agreeing to, right? Let's make certain we understand what we're saying yes to on this website. That's going to be weird. That's going to be weird. That is going to be weird. Please read these terms of service carefully. This is a binding contract. Welcome to the services operated by Kick.com. Collectively Kick, or we, consisting of the website available at Kick.com and its network of websites, software applications, or any other product or service offered by Kick, the Kick services. Other services offered by Kick may be subject to separate terms. When using the Kick services, you'll be subject to Kick's community guidelines and additional guidelines or rules that are posted on the Kick services, and the services of the website, made available to you or disclosed to you in connection with specific services and features. Kick may also offer certain paid services which are subject to the Kick terms of sale, as well as any additional terms or conditions that are disclosed to you in connection with such services. All such terms and guidelines, the guidelines, are incorporated into these terms of services by reference. The terms of service apply whether you are a user that registers an account with the Kick services or an unregistered user. You agree that by clicking sign up or otherwise registering, downloading, accessing, or simply using the Kick services, you're entering into a legally binding agreement between you and Kick regarding your use of the Kick services. You acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agree to be bound by these terms of services. You do not agree, or if you do not agree to these terms of services, do not access or otherwise use any of the Kick services. When using Kick or opening an account with Kick on behalf of a company, an entity, or an organization, by the way, this is something that was forbidden in the other terms. You couldn't do that on behalf of anybody else. That's collectively known as subscribing organization. You represent and warrant that 1, you are an authorized representative of that subscribing organization with the authority to bind that organization to these terms of service and grant the license set forth herein. And number 2, agree to these terms of services on behalf of such subscribing organization. Use of Kick by minors and blocked persons. The Kick services are not available to persons under the age of 13. If you are between the ages of 13 and the age of a legal majority in your jurisdiction of residence, you may only use the Kick services under the supervision of a parent or a legal guardian who agrees to be bound by these terms of service. The Kick services are also not available to any user previously removed from the Kick services by Kick, or to any persons barred from receiving them under the laws of the United States, such as its export and re-export restrictions and regulations or applicable laws. So that means if you've been banned, you're not allowed to come back through any means, I guess. I'm assuming. By downloading, installing, or otherwise using the Kick services, you represent that you are at least of 13 years of age, that your parent or legal guardian agrees to be bound by these terms, if you are in between 13 and the age of legal majority in your jurisdiction of residence, and that you have not been previously removed from and are not prohibited from receiving the Kick services. Fair enough. Privacy notice. Your privacy is important to Kick. Please see our privacy notice for information relating how we collect, use, and disclose your personal information, which I believe is this secondary document, the privacy policy, which we will get to. Accounts. By the way, if anybody's here, I see 10 viewers watching. Rob Mac, how you doing, man? My McAfee antivirus gave me a warning of risky to Kick.com. Interesting. Did it now? Does it stipulate what the warning is in regards to? Does it say what the thing is? Like, it's just risky? That's a bit frightening, though. Yeah, I was going to say, I understand there are lots of bots on this website, a lot of view bots. So that could be a thing we got to deal with, because it says 10 viewers, but I know Doug and Rob, you're there, and that's 2. So I don't know. I don't know about, but I see the viewers on I'm going to say DLive and YouTube. Come on over to kick.com. Urban, how you doing, man? Urban with 3. There you go. There's actually 3 people here. How you doing, Urban? You took a screenshot and posted it in the Discord. Okay, cool. That's good. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for that. Let's move on to number 4, account. Account and password. In order to open an account, you'll be asked to provide us with certain information such as an account name, password, email, and birth date. You are solely responsible for maintaining the confidentiality of your account. Not if you're giving it to them, though. Your password and for restricting access to your computer. If you permit others to use your account credentials, you agree to these terms of services on behalf of all other persons who use the services under your account or password, and you are responsible for all activities that occur under your account or password. The information you provide to Kik upon registration and at all other times must be true, accurate, current, and complete, and Kik is relying on any information you provide to be as such. So don't lie. Unless expressly permitted in writing by Kik, you may not sell, rent, lease, share, or provide access to your account to anyone else, including without limitation, charging anyone for access to administrative rights on your account. Kik reserves all available legal rights and remedies to prevent unauthorized use of the Kik services, including but not limited to technological barriers, IP mapping, and in serious cases, directly contacting your internet service provider regarding such unauthorized use. So I guess that means if you're a big celebrity, you can't say you can use my account for a day, like a takeover. Part B, third-party accounts. Kik may permit you to register for and log on to the Kik services via certain third-party services. Now, I'm hoping this means things such as the equivalent of like a Streamlabs or a Tidy Labs, the way that you can incorporate some overlays and some chat messages and some view counts and these donation alerts when that sort of comes down. So that'll be like a bolt-on, I guess. These third-party collection, use, and disclosure of your information will be subject to that third-party service's privacy notice. Further information about how Kik collects, uses, and discloses your personal information when you link your Kik account with your account on any third-party service can be found in our privacy notice, which is here, and we are going to get through that one as well shortly. Use of devices and services, part 5. Access to the Kik services may require the use of your personal computer or mobile device. I'm going to say it will. How else would you use it? How else would you use it? As well as communications with or use of space on such devices. Yes, you are responsible for any internet connections or mobile fees and charges that you incur when accessing the Kik services. Fair enough. Modification of these very terms. Kik may amend any of the terms of services by any time by posting the amended terms. Your continued use of the Kik services after the effective date of the revised terms constitutes your acceptance of the terms. So basically that says they can change it, and as long as you keep using the service, you agree to the changes. The changes could say things like, from now on, you all have to pierce your ears before you go live. And if you've okayed it, then you've agreed to that. That wouldn't be a very good example, but you know what I'm saying. Licensed, part 7. The Kik services are operated by Kik. Unless otherwise indicated, all content, information, and other materials on the Kik services, excluding user content set out in the section 8 below, everything we're about to talk about does not include the things that you stream. Including, without limitation, Kik's trademarks and logos, the visual interfaces, graphics, design, compilation, information, software, computer code, including source code or object code, services, text, pictures, information, data, sound files, and other files, and the selection and arrangement thereof, collectively the materials, are protected by relevant intellectual property and proprietary rights and laws. All materials are the property of Kik or its subsidiaries or affiliated companies and or third-party licensors, unless otherwise expressly stated in writing by Kik. By agreeing to these terms of service, you are granted a limited, non-substantialized license, i.e. a personal and limited right to access and use the Kik services for your personal use or internal business use only. That's going to be weird. Kik reserves all rights not expressly granted in these terms of services. Kik may revoke this license at any time, and it is subject to these terms of service and does not permit you to engage in any of the following. 1, or A, resale or commercial use of the Kik services or the materials. So you can't make a platform and say it's called Kicker and use the Kik services as the base of it. Part B, distribution, public performance, or public display of any materials. So you can't stream in public? No, that doesn't mean that. C, modifying or otherwise making any derivative use of the Kik services or the materials or any portion of them. D, use of any data mining, robots, or similar data gathering or extraction methods. E, downloading, except for page caching, of any portion of the Kik services, the materials, or any information contained in them, except as expressly permitted on the Kik services. So this still says to me that you can't make, like, basically I can't make a video documenting Kik's progress, because that would be essentially downloading and storing into a video file the materials. That's a shame. I'm going to break that rule, but I'm going to get permission. You can seek permission, and I'm going to get permission before I break the rules, but I do want to do that. I want to do it for documentation, right? I want to come back in a year from now and say, that's what Kik looked like when it launched. How does it look now? It looks so different, right? That's what I'm doing that for, or that's why I want to do that. I've been doing it for DLive for now on 4 years. So same process, same concept, just a new platform that I'd like to document. Or F, any use of the Kik services or materials except for their intended purposes. Any use of the Kik services or the materials except as specifically authorized in these terms of service without the prior written permission of Kik is strictly prohibited and may violate intellectual property rights or other laws. Unless explicitly stated in these terms of service, nothing in them shall be interpreted as conferring any license to intellectual property rights, whether by estoppel. What the fuck does that word mean? Estoppel. The principle which precludes a person from asserting something contrary to what is implied by a previous action or statement of that person or by a previous pertinent judicial determination, i.e. the case has been one of estoppel. I have never heard of that word before in my life, dudes. And I still don't even understand it after reading the description. Whether by estoppel, implication, or other legal principles, Kik can terminate the license as set out in Section 14. Part 8, user content. Kik allows you to distribute streaming live and pre-recorded audio-visual works, to use services such as chat, bulletin boards, forum postings, wiki contributions, and voice interactive services, and to participate in other activities in which you may create, post, transmit, perform, or store content, messages, text, sound, images, applications, code, or other data or materials on the Kik services. And that becomes known as user content. For residents of the Republic of Korea, interesting, distribution of pre-recorded audio-visual works and video on demand related features and functions, including but not limited to clips, highlights, and other uploaded content, may not be available. Huh? So in Korea, this might not be available? I wonder why that is. What's going on in Korea that they can't do a live stream? Because it's like you could say something that's defamatory to their government? Is that what that is? I like how the chat stays on the screen though. Tidy Labs, I mean, I guess the chat, I haven't really got many chatting here, but the chat stays there. It's stagnated. I like that. License, oh, here we go. License to Kik. I got a license to Kik. Part 1, unless otherwise agreed to in a written agreement between you and Kik that was signed by an authorized representative of Kik, if you submit, transmit, display, perform, post, or store user content using the Kik services, you grant Kik and its sub-licensees to the furthest extent and for the maximum duration permitted by applicable law, including in perpetuity if permitted under applicable law, you grant them an unrestricted, worldwide, irrevocable, fully sub-licensable, non-exclusive, royalty-free right to A, use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, create derivative works from, distribute, perform, and display such user content, including without limitation, for promoting and redistributing part or all of the Kik services and derivative works thereof in any form, format, media, or media channels now known or later developed or discovered. Oh my God, this is terrible. And B, use the name, identity, likeness, and voice or any biographical information that you submit in connection with such user content basically what you've got right there is the Kick are saying, whatever you put on our platform, we can use for whatever we like, whenever we like, in any application that's currently available and anything that ever gets made in the future. That's pretty frightening. And so let's just say, what would be a good example? This is an extreme example, but let's say there was an IRL wedding, right? Let's say someone big like PewDiePie IRL streamed their own wedding, and at the wedding, perish the thought, there was some nutter that came flying in, setting off a bomb or something, right? Or something gnarly, maybe not a bomb, but that's a bit extreme, but something gnarly happened, and it got live streamed. Forever, from the day that happened, Kick have the right to do whatever they want with that footage that got sent to the platform. That includes things like on-selling it to the media, right? They could sell it to the television stations for a handsome profit. They could use it for investigative purposes to find the perpetrator. They could make an ad. If nothing happened and it was just a beautiful wedding, they could make an ad for themselves saying, come join Kick and get married. PewDiePie did. And they're allowed to use the content. So just be aware that every time you agree to something like this, you're essentially saying, for whatever happens in the future, whatever I create, however long it lasts on any device ever known to humankind currently, and that gets developed in the future, you can have my content for free of charge. I find that, as a photographer, I find that frightening, and I just wonder how that would stand up legally, because like by creating a creative work, by simply creating the work, you don't automatically give up your copyright ever. But if you sign an agreement that says you do, then there's a bigger fight to get it back later on. I know for a fact in Australia, as soon as you take a photo, without having to go through any process, you are the copyright holder of that image, unless you're in a state of commission for someone else. Like if you're an in-house photographer working for a nightclub or for a conference center or something like that, and you're paid to photograph for company XYZ, then they own the copyright. But if you're a freelance photographer, this includes anybody that's not even in the sense professional, just anybody shooting a photo, the moment the photograph is taken in Australia, you own copyright. It's different in the States. You've actually got to submit works to the copyright, what's it called? The CM, I can't recall what it's called. It's been a long time since I looked at it, but you have to submit those. You submit a bunch of works, like 500 photos at a time, and they get batch processed as copyright to you. But these terms are basically saying whatever you put on our website, you've granted us an irrevocable license to do whatever we want with, whenever we want, for whatever we want, from now into the future. And don't forget, devices are new devices are made and new technologies developed. This agreement says on whatever the technology is. Hectic, man. Should such user content contain the name, identity, likeness, and voice or other biographical information of a third party, you represent and you warrant that you have obtained the appropriate consents and the licenses for your use of such features, and that Kick and its sub-licensees are allowed to use them to the extent that it. So if you make a mistake, like let's say I was on the Sydney Harbour Bridge when someone jumped off the bridge, and they landed it, they survived. They went for a suicide jump and they made it. They somehow, I don't know, a parasailing dude was going under the bridge at the same time, and this guy jumped and landed on the top of the parachute and then bounced to his safety in the water, and everybody on top of the bridge watched it, and I videoed it because I was live streaming there. Kick want to use that as like, what a incredible meme, right? You know, jump to your safety on the back of a parachute. Well, I'm warranting that everybody that appears in that video, I sought permission of beforehand, so therefore Kick don't have to do that. So they want to use it all. They don't want to do any other work. Shit. We're getting bogged down on that point because that's a big one. That is big. It's not unusual, but it is a big point. And I just don't know how it'd stand up if it actually came down to a court of law. I don't think it would stand up. With respect to the user content known as add-ons, maps, mods, and other types of projects submitted through curseforge.com. What the fuck is CurseForge? CurseForge? What is curseforge.com? Skis. It's a very slow website. What the hell is CurseForge? Okay, is this a game development page or something? Idea suggestion, create a project, CurseForge app, browse. I guess you can make apps here or something. Okay, fair enough. Or related sites, the submitted projects. The rights granted to you hereunder terminate once you remove or delete such submitted projects from the Kik services. Excuse me. You also acknowledge that Kik may retain but not display, distribute, or perform server copies of submitted. Okay, so I don't really understand what that. I guess that means if you make an add-on. Part 3. With respect to streaming live and pre-recorded audio-visual works, the rights granted by you hereunder terminate once you delete such user content from the Kik services. What? With respect to the streaming live and so once you've done a stream, you grant rights, but they terminate if you delete your VOD. Okay. Or generally by closing your account, except A, to the extent you shared it with other users as part of the Kik services, and others copied or stored portions of the user content, e.g. made a clip, or if B, Kik used it for promotional purposes, and C, for the reasonable time it takes to remove from the backup. So that just says that they're not keeping it forever. That's kind of weird. Like they just made a big point of saying we're going to keep it in perpetuity forever on any device that's known to mankind, any device that's coming, and then it says, but if you delete it, then it's gone. Okay. Oh well, there you go, folks. My advice would be to download your VODs and then delete them straight away. User content representations and warranties. You are solely responsible for the user content and the consequences of posting or publishing it. You represent and warrant that 1, you are the creator of your own or control all right in and to the user content or otherwise have sufficient rights and authority to grant the rights granted herein. 2, your user content does not and will not violate any applicable law or regulation, or B, infringe, violate, or misappropriate any third-party right, including any copyright, trademark, patent, trade secret, moral right, privacy right, right of publicity, or any other intellectual property or proprietary right, or C, defame any person. 4, your user content does not contain any viruses, adware, spyware, worms, or other harmful or malicious code. Now, this is going to get weird. That's going to be weird because we just had Rob Max say that this very website pulls up a trigger in McAfee giving a warning of risky. That is going to get weird. That's going to be weird. Your user content does not include any viruses. Unless you have received prior written and authorization, your user content specifically does not contain any pre-release or non-public beta software or game content or any confidential information of Kik or third parties. Kik reserves all rights and remedies against any users who breach these representations and warranties. Fair enough. So you can't publish anything you don't have the rights to. Content is uploaded at your own risk. Kik does not guarantee that any unauthorized copying, use, or distribution of user content by third parties will not take place. Okay, so it might not be them that does it, is that what they're saying? To the furthest extent permitted by applicable law, you hereby agree that Kik shall not be liable for any unauthorized copying, use, or distribution of user content by third parties, and you release and forever waive any claims you may have against Kik for any such unauthorized copying or usage of the user content under any theory. And this is in uppercase, so they're yelling, Kik makes no representations, warranties, guarantees, conditions, or assurances regarding any security measures to protect user content. So what they're saying is someone could hack our website and fuck you all, we made no warranties against that. Wasn't us, someone came in and hacked our sketchy code and they took all your shit. And now they're selling it on the dark web. But it's not our fault, even though, you know, We hired Sam Bankman-Fried to be there and make a backdoor in. It wasn't our fault, though. You agreed to it, so bad luck. That's the way that reads. D, promotions. User may promote, administer, or conduct a promotion. Oh, okay, they may. E.g. a contest or a sweepstakes on, through, or utilizing the Kik services, and this is classed as a promotion. If you choose to promote, administer, or conduct the promotion, you must adhere to the following rules. You must burp beforehand, and part 2. Number 1, you may carry out promotions to the extent permitted by applicable law, and you are solely responsible for ensuring that any promotion comply with all and any applicable laws, obligations, and restrictions to where you are. That makes sense. 2, you will be classified as the promoter of your promotion in the applicable jurisdictions, and you will be solely responsible for all aspects of and expenses related to your promotion. Fair enough. Including without limitation the execution, administration, and operation of the promotion, drafting and posting any official rules, selecting winners, issuing prizes, and obtaining all necessary third-party permissions and approvals, including without limitation filing of any and all necessary registrations and bonds. Kik has the right to remove your promotion from the Kik services if Kik reasonably believes that your promotion does not comply with these terms of services or applicable laws. Part 3, Kik is not responsible for and does not endorse or support any promotions. Okay. You may not indicate that Kik is a sponsor. You may not indicate that Kik is a sponsor or co-sponsor of the promotion. And 4, you will display or read out the following disclaimer when promoting, administering, or conducting a promotion. Quote, this is a promotion by, insert name here. Kik does not sponsor or endorse this promotion and is not responsible for it. Fair enough. They dust their hands of all promotions. Part E, endorsements and testimonials. You agree that your user content... Hey, Comtech, how you doing, man? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, man. You agree that your user content will comply with the FTC's guidelines concerning the use of testimonials and endorsements in advertising. The FTC's Disclosure Guide, the FTC Native Advertising Guidelines, and any other guidelines issued by the FTC from time to time, the FTC Guidelines, as well as any other advertising guideline required under applicable law. For example, if you have been paid or provided with free products in exchange for discussing or promoting a product or service through the Kik services, or if you're an employee of a company and you decide to discuss or promote that company's products or services through the Kik services, you agree to comply with the FTC guidelines, requirements for disclosing such relationships. You and not Kik are solely responsible for any endorsements or testimonials you make regarding any product or service through the Kik services. So that's just saying, basically, if you get paid to promote a product, you have to say that you're paid to promote the product. Makes sense. I mean, it's YouTube, right? It's same as YouTube. Mind you, at that point, I will also just say I'm being paid to make this video right now. Being that, I'm being paid AdSense revenue on YouTube. Funny, that's the only one that slips through those cracks. We talked about this last time. You don't have to say that. But I am being paid to make this video in the sense that YouTube run ads that I don't have any control on. I don't even know what they're going to advertise. They run them on my behalf and I get paid for it. So therefore, I'm being paid to make YouTube content. But that never has to get said. Weird, isn't it? Very strange. Political activity, part F. Subject to these terms of services and the community guidelines, you may share political opinions, participate in political activity, provide links to political committees' official websites, including the contribution page of a political committee, and solicit viewers to make contributions directly to a political committee. Cool, you're allowed to do that? Okay, then flock in, you freaking politically motivated streamers. You agree, however, that these activities are entirely your own. Moreover, by engaging in these activities, you represent and warrant that you are eligible to engage in them under applicable law, and that you will abide by all relevant law and regulations while doing so. You agree not to solicit the use or use Kik in any monetization tool, e.g. Kiks or subscriptions. I guess that's what's coming. We don't know about that yet. They haven't told us about this, but Kiks and subscriptions for the purpose of making or delivering a contribution to a candidate. Hang on a second. You agree not to solicit the use of or use any Kik. So you can't use your monetization to deliver a contribution to a candidate. candidates committee, political action committee, ballot committee, or any other campaign committee, or otherwise for the purpose of influencing any election. So you can talk about it, you just can't take money from it. Okay. Candidates for political office are not eligible to use Kick monetization tools on their channels, but they can have a channel. Okay. Interesting. That's different to DLive, right? Political conduct. Prohibited conduct. You agree not to, that's in uppercase, so it's yelling. You agree not to violate any law, contract, intellectual property, or other third-party right not to commit a tort. That means dead in German. Tort. Es ist tort. Can I describe it? Define it. Look up tort. Tort, a wrongful act or an infringement of a right other than under contract leading to legal liability. Okay. And that you are solely responsible for your conduct while on the Kick services. You agree that you will comply with these terms of services and Kick's community guidelines and will not, 1, create, upload, transmit, distribute, or store any content that is inaccurate, unlawful, infringing, defamatory, obscene, pornographic, invasive of privacy or publicity rights, harassing, threatening, abusive, inflammatory, or otherwise objectionable. I mean, you could say I just burped. That's objectionable. I object, Your Honor. Part 2, impersonate any person or entity, falsely claim an affiliation with any person or entity, access the Kick services accounts of others without permission, forge another person's digital signature, misrepresent the source, identity, or content of information transmitted via the Kick services, or perform any similar fraudulent activities. 3, you must not send junk mail or spam to users of the Kick services, including, without limitation, unsolicited advertising promotional materials or other solicitation materials, bulk mailing of commercial advertising, chain mail, informational announcements, charity requests, petitions for signatures, or any of the preceding things related to promotional giveaways, such as raffles and contests and other similar activities. So don't be a dick, basically. Part 4, harvest or collect email addresses or other contact information of other users from the Kick. Oh, wow, that's an interesting one. So if I said to you, well, my stream's going to come to a conclusion. I've got a little video I want to send to my local crew. Drop me your email and I'll flick it all onto you as a group message. You're not allowed to. That will be considered harvesting email addresses. Okay. Defame, harass, abuse, threaten, or defraud users of the Kick services, or collect or attempt to collect personal information about users or third party without their consents. Delete, remove, circumvent, disable, damage, or otherwise interfere with A, security-related features of the Kick services or user content, B, features that prevent or restrict use of copying any of the content accessible through the Kick services, C, features that enforce limitations to the use of the Kick services on user content, or D, the copyright or other proprietary rights notices on the Kick services or content. Wow. So you can't mess up with the website, basically. 7, reverse engineer, decompile, disassemble, or otherwise attempt to discover the source code of the Kick services or any part thereof, except and only to the extent that this activity is expressly permitted by the law of your jurisdiction of residence. Wow. So if you live somewhere where you're allowed to take the code, you can take the code. Shit. Part 8, modify, adapt, translate, or create derivative works based upon the Kick services or any part thereof, except and only to the extent that such activity is expressly permitted by the applicable law, notwithstanding this limitation. 9, interfere with or damage the operation of the Kick services or any user's enjoyment of them by any means, including uploading or otherwise disseminating viruses, adware, spyware, worms, or other malicious code. You may not relay email from a third party's mail server without the permission of that third party. Dude, this is heavy, hey. 10, 11. Access any website, server, software, application, or any computer resource owned, used, and or licensed by Kick, including but not limited to the Kick services, by means of any robot, spider, scraper, crawler, or other automated means for any purpose, or bypass any measures Kik may use to prevent or restrict access to any website, server, software, application, or other computer resource owned, used, and or licensed by Kik, including but not limited to the Kik services. Comptech, in other words, play nice. That's what I'm reading out of all this. Play nice, don't be a dick, do the right thing, and keep it all in gear, right? Don't go out of your lane. I tell you what, I am only halfway through this document and I am struggling to read it right now. I'm probably going to do the privacy policy another time because this is getting difficult to read. That's going to be weird. Part 12. Hang on. Manipulate identifiers in order to disguise the origin of any user content transmitted through the Kik services. Part 8. I'm not actually taking these in now. That's the thing. I was taking it all in when I started reading it, but it's too much. It's all building up in my forefront of my head, and it's just getting too intense. Part 8. Interfere with or disrupt the Kik services or servers or networks connected to the Kik services, or disobey any requirements, procedures, policies, or regulations of networks connected to the Kik services. Use the Kik services in any manner that could interfere with, disrupt, negatively affect, or inhibit other users from fully enjoying the Kik services, or that could damage, disable, overburden, or impair the functioning of the Kik services in any manner. So this is like no botting, which is a shame. Well, not a shame, which is notable because there's so many view bots on this channel already, right? Or on this platform. Like view bots are abundant here. What's this? 14. Use or attempt to use others' accounts without authorization. 15. Attempt to circumvent any content filtering techniques we employ, or attempt to access any service or area of the Kik services that you're not authorized to access. 16. Attempt to indicate in any manner without our prior written permission that you have a relationship with us, or that we have endorsed you or any products or services or any purpose. 17. Use the Kik services for any illegal purpose or in violation of any local, state, national, or international law or regulation, including without limitation, laws governing intellectual property and other property rights, data protection, and privacy. To the extent permitted by applicable law, Kik takes no responsibility and it assumes no liability for any user content or for any loss or damage resulting therefrom, what a cool word. Nor is Kik liable for any mistakes, defamation, slander, libel, omissions, falsehoods, obscenity, pornography, or profanity you may encounter when using the Kik services. Your use of the Kik service is at your own risk. In addition, these rules do not create any private right of action on the part of any third party or any reasonable expectation that the Kik services will not contain any content that is prohibited by such rules. Kik is not liable for any statements or representations included in the user content. Kik does not endorse any user content, opinion, recommendation, or advice expressed therein, and Kik expressly disclaims any and all liability in connection with user content. To the fullest extent permitted by the applicable law, Kik reserves the right to remove, screen, or edit any user content posted or stored on the Kik services at any time and without notice, including where such user content violates these terms of services or applicable law, and you are solely responsible for creating backup copies of and replacing any user content you post or store on the Kik services at your sole cost and expense. Any use of the Kik services in violation of the foregoing violates these terms of services and may result in, among other things, the termination or suspension of your rights to use the Kik services. And here we go. For the residents of the Republic of Korea, except in the case where Kik reasonably considers that giving notice is legally prohibited, for instance, when providing notice would either 1. Violate applicable laws, regulations, or orders, or 2. Compromise on ongoing investigation conducted by a regulatory authority, or that any notice may cause harm to you, third parties, Kik and or its affiliates. For instance, when providing notice harms the security of the Kik services, Kik will without delay notify you of the reason for taking the relevant step. Korea gets a little, little sidestep there. How far? Oh, dude, this is taken. Oh, dude, I don't know if I can read all this. Holy shitballs. I thought this wasn't as, this is detailed. Can I just take a pause there for a second? That's a lot to take in, huh? It's a lot to take in. It's also hurting my eyes. Comtech, wait, the above words said you can't show porn, etc. Now they're saying they are not responsible for the porn, and they may be on. Well, they're basically getting away, or not getting away, but they're alleviating all. Hey, why is there a line there? Oh, that's my chat overlay. Hold on a second. They're alleviating all responsibility, basically. Get that out of there. I'll fix that line. CYA, see ya. Are you leaving? We're just getting into the meat of this, dude. My bad. I just pressed the wrong button. Cover your ass. Yeah, my bad. That would have been a black screen for you guys momentarily. Should all be good now, though. We're good, right? Yeah, we're good, yeah. No, I just pressed the wrong stream. I've got a new stream deck here. I'm just still getting used to it all. Respecting copyright. Kik respects the intellectual property of others and follows the requirements set forth in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, and other applicable laws. If you are the copyright owner or agent thereof and believe that content posted on the Kik services infringes upon your copyright, please submit a notice following our DMCA guidelines, which include further information about our policies, what to include in your notice, and where to submit your notice. Oh, CYA is cover your ass. Gotcha. I didn't even see that. Trademark. Kik, the Kik logos, and any other product or service name, logo, or slogan used by Kik, and the look and feel of the Kik services, the feel, I love a good feel, including all page headers, custom graphics, button icons, and scripts are trademarks or trade dress of Kik and may not be used in whole or in part in connection with or any product or service that is not Kik's. Now, on that note, I did ask whether I could use the Kik logo in my stream starting soon countdown, and I did get a confirmation of yes, I can do that. Remember, I asked twice. They said you should be good for that, and I said, "Is that permission to do so?" Not. I don't want a response that says you should be okay to do that. I want we give you permission to do that, and so that's what I got eventually. So I got that right to do that. In any manner that is likely to cause confusion among customers, or in any manner that may disparage or discredits Kik, without any prior written permission, any use of these trademarks must be in accordance with the Kik trademark guidelines. All other trademark reference in the Kik services are the property of their respective owners. Reference on the Kik services to any product, services, processes, or other information by trade name, trademark, manufacturer, supplier, or otherwise does not constitute or imply endorsement, sponsorship, or recommendation thereof by us or any other affiliation. Third-party content. In addition to the user content, Kik may provide other third-party content on the Kik services. Collectively, the third-party content, Kik does not control or endorse any third-party content and makes no representation or warranties of any kind regarding the third-party content, including without limitation regarding its accuracy or completeness. Please be aware that we do not create third-party content, update or monitor it. Therefore, we are not responsible for any third-party content on the Kik services. What would that be an example? What would be an example of that? You are responsible for deciding if you want to access or use third-party websites or applications that link from the Kik services. Okay, these reference sites. Kik does not control or endorse any such reference sites or the information, materials, products, or services contained on or accessible through reference sites, and makes no representations or warranties of any kind regarding the reference sites. In addition, your correspondence or business dealings with or participation in promotions of advertisers found on or through the Kik services are solely between you and such advertiser. Access and use of reference sites, including information, materials, products, and services on or available through reference sites, is solely at your own risk. Idea submission, part 13. By submitting ideas, suggestions, documents, and or proposals, the submissions, to Kik or its employees, you acknowledge and agree that Kik shall be entitled to use or disclose such submissions for any purpose in any way without providing compensation or credit to you. That was my idea. Oh, fuck you. You gave it to us. Bad luck. Termination. To the fullest extent permitted by applicable law, Kik reserves the right, without notice, in our sole discretion, to terminate your license to use the Kik services, including to post user content and to block or prevent your future access to and use of the Kik services, including but not limited to where we reasonably consider that A, your use of the Kik services violates these terms, B, you fraudulently use or misuse the Kik services, or C, we are unable to continue providing the Kik services to you due to technical or business reasons. That's weird. Our right to terminate your license includes the ability to terminate or to suspend your access to any purchased product or services, including any subscriptions, Prime Gaming, or Turbo accounts. Okay, don't know what that means. Prime Gaming. Is that Amazon shit? To the fullest extent permitted by applicable law, your only remedy with respect to a dissatisfaction with 1, the Kik services, and 2, any terms of these terms of services, any policy or practice of Kik in operating the Kik services, or 4, any content or information transmitted through the Kik services, is to terminate your account and to discontinue use of it. So if you don't like it, you've got to terminate. And again, for residents of Korea, except in the cases where Kik reasonably considers giving notice is legally prohibited, for instance, when providing notice would either 1, violate applicable laws. Okay, so these Korean laws are all sort of different, right? Disputes. Indemnification. To the fullest extent permitted by applicable law, you agree to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless Kik, its affiliated companies, and each of our respective contractors, employees, officers, directors, agents, third-party suppliers, licensors, and partners, individually and collectively, the Kik parties. The Kik parties. I love a good Kik party. Boot party. If you know Tism, you'll know the Boot Party tune. From any claims, losses, damages, demands, expenses, costs, liabilities, including legal fees and expenses arising out of or related to your access, use, or misuse of the Kik services, any user content you post, store, or otherwise transmit in or through the Kik services, your violation of the rights of any third party, any violation by you of these terms of service, or any breach of the representations, warranties, and covenants made by you herein. You agree to promptly notify the Kik parties of any third-party claim, and Kik reserves the right at your expense, to assume the exclusive defense and control of any matter for which you are required to indemnify Kik, and you agree to cooperate with Kik's defense of these claims. Kik will use reasonable efforts to notify you of any such claim, action, or proceedings upon becoming aware of it. Disclaimer, no warranties. Now, I'm not going to read this as a yell, but they have yelled it at us because it's uppercase. I'll do it the opposite. I'll do it in a quiet, softly spoken voice. To the fullest extent permitted by applicable law, A, the Kik services and the content and the materials contained therein are provided on an as-is basis, without warranties of any kind, either express or implied, except as expressly provided to the contrary in writing by Kik. The Kik parties disclaim all other warranties, statutory, express, or implied, including but not limited to the implied warranties of merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, title, and non-infringement as to the Kik services, including any information, content, or materials contained therein. Kik, and it's got a copyright symbol right there, Kik does not represent or warrant that the content or materials on the Kik services are accurate, complete, reliable, current, or error-free. D. Oh, that's a C. It's not a copyright, that's a C. Typo. Actually, that's pretty good. That's the first typo that I've seen in this whole document. That's pretty damn good, but you're fucked up and put a copyright where it should be a C. Part D. Kik is not responsible for typograph. Are you kidding me? Right here? Kik is not responsible for typographical errors or omissions relating to text or photography. Okay, well, you just covered your own ass there, didn't you? You little sneaky buggers. And E, while Kik attempts to make your access and use of the Kik services safe, Kik cannot and does not represent or warrant that the Kik services or our servers are free of viruses or other harmful components. And therefore, you should use industry-recognized software to detect and disinfect viruses, such as the one that Rob Mack used. And he said that he got a risky warning from McAfee antivirus. So there's a little side spiral there. If you are worried about viruses by using Kik, you might want to check it with McAfee. It does give you a risky status. So be aware of that. Chance for me to take a swig of my water. You assume all risks in using our site. No advice or information, whether oral or written, obtained by you from Kik or through the Kik services will create any warranty not expressly stated herein. Limitation of liability and damages. Limitation of liability to the fullest extent permitted by applicable law. A, in no event shall Kik or the Kik parties be liable for any direct, special, indirect, or consequential damages of any other damages of any kind, including but not limited to loss of use, loss of profit, loss of data, whether in any action or contract tort, including but not limited to negligence or otherwise arising out of or in any way connected with the use of or the inability to use the Kik services. The content or the materials included without limitation, any damages caused by or resulting from reliance or any information obtained from Kik or that results from mistakes, omissions, interruptions, deletion of files or email, errors, defects, viruses, delays in operation or transmission, or any failure of performance, whether or not resulting from acts of God, communications failure, theft, destruction, or unauthorized access to Kik's records, programs, or services. And B, in no event shall the aggregate liability of Kik, whether in contract, warranty, tort, including negligence, whether active, passive, or imputed, product liability, strict liability, infringement, or other theory arising out of or relating to the use of or inability to use the Kik services exceed the amount paid by you, if any, for accessing the Kik services during the 12 months immediately preceding the date of the claim, or $100, whichever is greater. To the extent that applicable law prohibits limitations of such liability, Kik's liability shall be limited to the full extent allowed by applicable law. So basically what that says, and it's interesting because you don't pay to use Kik. You may pay to subscribe to a channel in the future, but at this stage you don't pay. But if something goes wrong on Kik, up until... if something goes wrong and it costs you financially, you can claim back as far back as 12 months before the incident, is what I understand by that.
Yeah.
2, a reference site. These limitations of liability also apply with respect to damages incurred by you by reason of any product or service sold or provided on any reference site or otherwise by third parties other than Kik, and received through or advertised on the Kik services or received through any reference sites. 3, basis of the bargain. Never heard this saying before. You acknowledge and agree that Kik has offered the services, user content, materials, and other content and information, set its prices, okay, so there's pricing coming, and entered into these terms of service in reliance upon the warranty disclaimers and limitations of liability set forth herein, that the warranty disclaimers and limitations of liability set forth herewithin reflect a reasonable and fair allocation of risk between you and Kik, and that the warranty disclaimers and limitations of liability set forth herein form an essential basis of the bargain between you and Kik. Kik would not be able to provide the Kik services to you on an economically reasonable basis without these limitations. Applicable law and venue. To the fullest extent permitted by applicable law, you and Kik agree that the following governing law and arbitration provision applies. Please read the following carefully, because it requires you to arbitrate disputes with Kik and limits the manner in which you can seek relief from Kik. By agreeing to these terms and conditions, you agree that any and all past, present, and future disputes, claims, or causes of action between you and Kik or any of its affiliates, subsidiaries, ultimate parent and parent companies, partners, officers, directors, employees, contractors, shareholders, agents, licensors, subcontractors, or suppliers, which arise out of or are related in any way to these terms and conditions, the formation of these terms and conditions, the validity or scope of this arbitration provision, your participation in other access to the Kik services, or any other dispute between you and Kik or any of its affiliates, subsidiaries, ultimate parent and parent companies, partners, officers, directors, employees, contractors, shareholders, agents, licensors, subcontractors, or suppliers, including as to the arbitrability the ability to arbitrate. I've never heard that word before. Can we play songs off your Excess album, Kik? I feel like we should play Kik at the end of this. Or any of the foregoing, and whether arising prior to you or after agreement to the arbitration provision, all of the foregoing collectively disputes will be governed by the procedure set out below. As an initial matter, we want to address any concerns or disputes you may have without the need for a formal dispute resolution. Therefore, before filing any arbitration demand or other claim of any kind against Kik or any of its affiliates, subsidiaries, ultimate parent or parent companies, partners, officers, directors, employees, contractors, shareholders, agents, licensors, subcontractors, or suppliers, you agree to notify us in writing of the nature of your concern and or dispute, and to try in good faith using best efforts to resolve it. So before you go off-site to fix anything, you've got to tell them. During any subsequent arbitration, the amount of any settlement offer made by you or Kik during informal negotiations shall not be disclosed to the arbitrator until after the arbitrator makes a final decision and award, if any. If your concerns or dispute is not resolved after exhausting the internal complaints process, only then may you initiate an arbitration. Both you and Kik agree that any and all disputes, including without limitation any question regarding the existence, validity, enforceability, or termination of these terms and conditions and or this arbitration agreement, shall be referenced to and finally resolved exclusively by arbitration administered by the London Court of International Arbitration. Wow. The London Court of International Arbitration. I mean, is that in London? Is that in England? Here we go. lcia.org. It uses cookies. I'll have a cookie. Yeah, it's in London. Okay, so this goes... Okay, so you got to go to London for this shit. That could be expensive. The rules of which are deemed to be incorporated by reference into this provision. In agreeing to this binding commitment to arbitrate your disputes, you agree that you waive any right to proceed in a court of law or to have your claims heard by a jury. So if you go to arbitration, you're ruling out going to court. The arbitration shall, 1, be conducted by a single neutral arbitrator in the English language, 2, be held virtually and not in person. Okay, that's cool. For all proceedings related to the arbitration, except by mutual agreement of all parties, and 3, be limited to 1 deposition per party, except by mutual agreement of all parties. Furthermore, in cases where neither party's claims or counterclaims exceed 25 grand, both parties agree to waive an arbitration hearing and resolve the dispute solely through submissions of documents to the arbitrator. Okay. No award or procedural order made in the arbitration shall be published. Oh, so you can't talk about it. The LCIA rules, as well as instructions on how to file an arbitration proceeding with the LCIA, appear at, and there's the link, we just checked it. Except as may be required by law, neither a party nor an arbitrator may disclose the existence, content, or results of any arbitration hereunder without the prior written consent of both parties. All documents and information disclosed in the course of arbitration shall be kept strictly confidential by the recipient and shall not be used by the recipient for any purpose other than for the purpose of the arbitration. So no YouTube videos of the process. or the enforcement of the arbitrator's decision and award, and shall not be disclosed except in confidence to persons who have a need to know for such purposes or as required by applicable law. Both you and Kik agree not to make any argument that the AAA, that's the first time that's been referenced, the AAA is an inconvenient forum. What the fuck is the AAA? The AAA, the triple A. A? Is that Canadian? A? The Australian Automobile Association. Ah, shit. It can't be. It can't be. Tell me it's not. It's an inconvenient forum. Well, it would be for anyone outside of Australia. Or otherwise incompetent or without authorization of a jurisdiction to hear any dispute, and expressly waive any and such arguments. You and Kik agree that an arbitration or any other proceeding to resolve a dispute shall proceed in an individual capacity only, and neither you nor Kik may bring a dispute as a collective, a joint or a group or a representation or a class action. No class actions. Unless both you and Kik agree, no arbitrator or judge may consolidate more than one person's claims or engage in any collective action. That's weird. They don't let you do a class action? What if all streamers are affected? All streamers' lives matter, don't they? Without limiting the generality of the above or the term collective action, as an example only, a claim to resolve a dispute against Kik will be deemed a collective action if claims are filed or pursued concurrently or on behalf of two or more persons, or counsel for the two or more persons is the same, or share fees or coordinate in any way. So this is what this reads as is if there's a big issue and it affects all streamers, right? If everybody gets something, disaster happens somewhere, somehow all hell breaks loose and something goes down, you can only go and enter into this arbitration arrangement individually. You can't team together and say, well, all the streamers that were streaming on the 17th of December 2023 were affected because of A, B, C, and D. Let's form a class action and bond together. This is ruling that out, which is a shame because that will be the way that people that maybe cannot afford arbitration could afford it if they're part of it. For the purpose of this clause, the term concurrently means that the claims are pending, filed but not resolved at the same time. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, neither you nor Kik will be entitled to participate in any collective, joint, group, representative, or class action, or otherwise consolidate, join, participate, represent, or coordinate disputes with or involving other individuals or entities, including a representative or member of a class or in a private attorney general capacity. Ah, another typo there, folks. Forgot a little stop there. Hey, Frozen Box, how you doing, man? These are the actual terms we're reading here. By the way, look at my lovely chat on screen there. Look at that lovely chat with a lovely cascading style sheet opacity. Thank you very much for that. Excuse me. Enjoy your Saturday, everyone. I have to split. I just choked on water. That chat is quite lovely. I just wish it had, I wish it could crop it off there. I wish it would carriage return, but it doesn't, but it's all good. So there was a typo here. In connection with any dispute as defined above, all such rights and expressly and conditionally waived, the parties further agree that the LCIA rules referenced above shall exclude all rules or exclude any rules or procedures governing or permitting collective actions as defined above of any kind. By agreeing to these terms, you acknowledge that you and Kik each waive the right to 1, a jury trial, and 2, participate in a class action. That sucks. That's a big one, folks. That's a big slap across the head for Kik. If you agree to these terms, which if you're streaming, you have agreed, case in point me, you agree that if anything pops up, you can't go to court for it. And you can't bond together as a unit, as a class action. That's shit. No jury trial, only arbitration. That's shit. If a court decides that applicable law precludes enforcement of any of these paragraphs' limitations as to a particular claim for relief, then that claim and only that claim must be served from the arbitration and may be brought in court. Okay, so they can take you to court, but you can't take them. Shit. This dispute resolution provision and agreement to arbitrate survives the termination of these terms and conditions for any reason. Claims. You and Kik agree that any cause of action arising out of or related to the Kik services must commence within 1 year after the cause of the action accrues. Otherwise, such cause of action is permanently barred. So that's a statute of limitations. Miscellaneous. A waiver. A. If we fail to exercise or enforce any right or provision of these terms of services, it will not constitute a waiver of such right or provision. So they're clear. No matter what they do, they're clear. Any waiver of any provision of these terms of services will be effective only if it's in writing and signed by the relevant party. Serverability. If any provision of these terms of services is to be found unlawful, void, or any reason unenforceable, then that provision will be limited or eliminated from the terms to the minimum extent necessary and will not affect the validity and enforceability of any of the remaining provisions. So I was saying before about the copyright one where they claim and they use your content because you signed off on it. I don't think that would stand up. Like if it ever came down to it and they wanted to use your likeness in a billboard or something without your consent, they can legally, by their terms, do that. But if you wanted to pursue it and you took legal action, I'm almost 99% positive that it would result in your favor, not theirs. And that would be that these terms, or the part that mentioned those permissions granted by waiving of copyright, would be removed from the terms. Assignment. These terms of services and any rights and licenses granted hereunder may not be transferred or assigned by you, but may be assigned by Kik without restriction. Any assignment attempted to be made in violation of these terms of services shall be void. Survival. Upon termination of these terms of services, any provision which by its nature or express terms should survive will survive such termination or expiration, including but not limited to sections 7, 8, 11, 12, and 15 to 17. That's funny. So it's like if a judge says those terms of services are outrageous, scrap them entirely. They've also included a part that says, well, yeah, you can scrap all of them except for section 7, 8, 11, 12, and 15 to 17. Entire agreement. The terms of service, which incorporate the terms of sale and the community guidelines, is the entire agreement between you and Kik relating to the subject matter herein and will not be modified except by a writing signed by an authorized representative of both parties and or a change, let me get rid of my camera here for a second, and or a change to these terms of services made by Kik as set forth in section 6 above. Now, that is the terms of use. Sorry, they've renamed it terms of service. There is another document that it relates to. It's called the privacy policy. I genuinely don't want to read all this now. I'm absolutely zonked out of my freaking head reading what I just read. But I will say this. It is important to do this. If you're using a website and you don't read those terms, you're essentially signing up to something that you don't know what you've signed up to. What if inside these terms there was a clause that said, in the event of monetization, schedule monetization brought to the services by way of customer viewer donations, you hereby agree to provide Kik with the entire first month of said donations on a non-binding agreement. You give all of your donations to Kik, and you've gone ahead and signed it and clicked OK, and then you started streaming, and then they brought in monetization, and then for the first month you were like, where's my funding? Where's my money going? Like, oh yeah, you agreed to give a month of that to Kik. Didn't you read the terms? It's right there. I'm just saying that's an extremely strange terms of services, and I'm not saying that's what's in there, but whatever is in there should be read just so that you're aware of it. Now, I read it quite slow because we were streaming it. If I was doing that off screen or off stream, I'd be flicking through that pretty quickly. I wouldn't be rereading all the jargon. I'd be jumping through it, probably get through it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. It's taken an hour and 18 to get through it here, but I did it for you. I did it for you, Yahoos. I did it yesterday or the day before, and it turns out it was the wrong terms of use. This is the strange thing. When you come to the site, and this is probably still true to this day, when you come to this site and you sign up, you actually click OK to a different it's called the terms of use at that point. I clicked OK. I screen grabbed, copied and pasted it all into a stickies note, and then we went through that one by one yesterday. It was riddled with strange, obscure content. Turns out that's not the one that you're agreeing to. Even though you've agreed to it, you're not agreeing to it because this is the one you're agreeing to. Do it on my next stream. Yeah, I'll do it on the next stream, the privacy policy one for sure. What are your thoughts so far on the site? I'm happy. Like I'm content. Nothing in those terms of service. What do they call it again? Terms of use. Terms of service. Nothing in the terms of service is strange to me. I've seen most of that before on a TOS, so that isn't unusual. Some of it won't stand up anyway, but it's not unusual to see it. As far as the site goes, I think there's a few things that it needs. It needs like a Tidy Labs version, like a proper way to embed your chat and donations when they come, and view accounts. So right now, this chat, and I appreciate your cascading style sheet tip, and it works, but it's a little wonky, right? Like right now, if someone writes a big sentence, it goes across the and you could say, yeah, but you could just drag those handles in, dude. Yeah, but then you drag in, and the font goes smaller, right? So to keep the font readable, there's no carriage return. And I mean, I just feel like this is stuff that's probably coming, right? It's a temporary thing, yeah. And they mentioned that in the terms of service, there'll be third-party plugins and whatnot that we agree to use. So as it stands right now, it's early days. I'm really, really interested in this 95-5 split. If they can pull that off, 95 to the creator and 5 to the platform, and that stays the way it is, because don't forget, they could do it and then they could say, yeah, that's only for the first 2 months, and then we're going to go to 70-30 or something. If they can keep that up, I would be probably streaming here full time. Hey, Papa Zadook, how you doing, man? Did I have a chat with you? Yeah, we just went through that, man. So thanks for swinging by the stream. We just went through the link that you gave me, and we just went through all of the terms of services to get to where we are now. Exhausted from reading everything. I read it all out for everybody to understand, and we read it in like plain English. And then next time I stream, I'll go through the privacy policy. But right now, I just can't take any more in. It's too much. But the overriding message I got from it is positive. I just think that the site is in its infancy, but we're here at the start, and where it goes from here, anybody knows. Yeah, the login terms of use. Yeah, that's a weird one, dude. I'd probably, I mean, that'd be pretty easy to get rid of, but you do have to click OK to that terms of use. People might not realize that, but that one is a strange one. There is definitely some concerns in there. The main one, we provide this for usage in America only. I was like, shit, I've already broken the rules before I even knew I was. So maybe get rid of that terms of use and just go for the main one. But either way, I'm pretty stoked to be here. And yeah, once the monetization stuff gets organized, and once we have an understanding of what that looks like and how we can use it, then I'm certainly interested in more content here and less content on DLive, to be frank. We'll get it fixed. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, it's all cool. Thanks, man. Thank you. Gives a minute is a great guy. I've known him for I want to say a bit over a year. Yeah, Frozen. Yeah. Thank you, man. I mean, we're all DLive streamers here, checking out a new platform. Look. Let me be clear. I'm a partner on DLive, but I've felt let down by DLive for quite a while now. Not just the latest stuff that's happened, but for quite a while I've been feeling, and I've made this known, I've felt like I've outgrown the website. Like I don't feel like DLive has grown with the streamers. In fact, you'd be pretty safe to say that DLive constantly pivots instead of growing. So they jump from one thing to the next, whereas what we thought we had at the beginning was a home that we could build upon. So this idea of decentralized blockchain live streaming, you're involved by being a validator, or you're involved by staking your Lino. Therefore, you have governance over the site and the decisions that get made. All of these things were at the beginning of DLive. These were wonderful ideas. It's like you actually have a say in how the site develops, and that was great. And slowly that all changed, and it all went back to this. No. It's as central. I'm not saying Kik is decentralized. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I feel like I've been let down slowly but steadily by DLive, and this latest kind of latching onto one particular segment of streaming, slot streamers, that this one particular segment is what the site is catering for exclusively, like promoting that ad nauseum. Whereas me and Frozen and other streamers, these people were there building the site up and they were doing the right thing, but DLive just did the wrong thing by them. So increasingly frustrated and let down is how I'd describe my experience. And so therefore, when something new comes up, I'll certainly take a look at it and I will make a decision based upon what's presented. As it stands right now, there doesn't seem to be anything amazing about Kik, to be completely frank. It's just a streaming website. There's nothing revolutionary here. I like the idea and it seems to work well, but until we see compelling reasons for being here, much like I saw when DLive began, the compelling reasons that PewDiePie mentions in his video when he came over in 2019, those compelling reasons need to be, I'm hoping that there's compelling reasons here on Kik as well. How do you think I felt? Yeah, Frozen, you went through it pretty rough, dude. Yeah. I blame Tron. Well, I'm not blaming anybody, but I will say this. Since Justin Sun took over DLive, it went downhill. No doubt about that. Downhill pretty clearly. Papa, I've had high hopes when we transitioned to DLive from Twitch. However, they did not appear to want to make improvements at all. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a distinct approach to not do anything cool and not progress. Do the opposite. Like for instance, getting rid of the community streams, right? Just flat out saying, no more community streams. We're not involved in that. There once used to be a time when the community would get together and we'd all be able to hear from the developers and to talk about what's coming. They just went, not doing that anymore. So instantly the community went, just fragmented, and no one pulled it back together. We were all asking for it. Nobody pulled it back together. Frozen Box, Papa, as a guardian, me and other guardians were trying very hard for the viewer streamers and other community members to be heard, but nothing was being done. Yeah. Well, here, look. So we're not here to sledge DLive at all, but I will say the reason I'm here on Kik.com right now is because of what's going down on DLive. No denying that, right? If DLive made me feel like that was home, like they did at the start, I would still be as gung-ho for DLive. But it's not that way. It's steadily gone from worse to worse. And here we are, 2022, at the end of the year, and it seems to be the worst state it's been in a long time. And nobody seems to care. For instance, microphone licking stream, right? Sexualized content. Now, I'm not saying that there should be anything against sexualized content, but if you read the terms of service for DLive, which I've done, you're not allowed to sexualize your content. And there was a streamer there that was having a hard time getting her microphone clean. She just constantly had to get that microphone right in the crack of her ass there. I don't know what was, she must have had some cleaning agent down there to, rub it in there. She was really trying to get that in there and clean it out. And then there must have been some lovely, maybe there was some sort of sugary syrup on them, because she was really trying to clean that microphone off for some time, and she couldn't quite clean it off for 3 days. She would spend 3.5 days on DLive trying to clean that microphone. What I'm illustrating there in a comical way is that sexualized content was being broadcast on DLive with no problem for 3.5 days. And finally someone came in and went, oh yeah, we better take that down. Back in the early days, if you broke the terms, yeah, someone was onto it. There was staff that would be like, yeah. And I heard that it's like, oh, it was the weekend. Staff apparently aren't here on the weekend. Thing is, it wasn't the weekend. It was midweek. It's Saturday now. It got taken down yesterday. It was like Tuesday through till Thursday. So anyway, Papa says, I don't blame you one bit. Frozen, if there's one good thing I can say about DLive is that we made me a better content creator. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you grow, right? You grow and then you outgrow, which is how I feel. I met great streamers, but other than that, shrugs. And don't forget the financial incentive. Like, I got introduced to cryptocurrency thanks to DLive, and it's been very financially lucrative. Very financially lucrative. Cryptocurrency, thank you, DLive, 100%. That, like, hey, that's what I would love to see on Kick. Some kind of crypto integration. Not suggesting it's got to be blockchain based, but some kind of cryptocurrency tie-in. I think that would suit me. But I know it's not everybody's got that flavor, but that's quality content. Did not need the reenactment. Verboten. How you going, verboten? That means forbidden in German, but you spelt it wrong. It's also verboten. We certainly want you guys to experience this journey with us. I'll be here. I'll be here for it. I look forward to what you got in the store for us. Feedback, suggestions you have for us, share them on the Discord. We're actively listening and implementing. Cool, Papa. This is good to hear, dude. By the way, man, I appreciate you coming in. Yeah, and recognizing the handle, same as in Discord. So I'm going to get out of here now, folks. I didn't intend this to be as long, but when we come back, I will go in and take a look at the privacy policy. We won't do that today, but next time we stream, I will take a look at that privacy policy and we'll talk about it in the way we've spoken about this one. But I'm going to get out of here now. It is a Saturday afternoon. I'm going to go and check the conditions. I might go for a surf. The wind has been onshore, unfortunately, and small swell, but I will check it again. I'm always keen to see if it's changed over the course of the day. I don't have an outro yet for my streams because I'm still setting that all up, but I'll see you all next time, and I guess I'll just pause here momentarily. I'm going to put a YouTube subscribe thing here at some point, so I'll just pause here while that happens, and maybe I'll look off to the side. Nope, I'm going to look back at the camera, and at some point I'll just hit the stop button without you even seeing me do it. This finger is not going to do it.